Hi, and welcome to PMPress, a YouTube video series about topics related to WordPress project management. My name is Tony Zioli, founder of Digital Strategy Works, a WordPress consulting and digital strategy company located here in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. I launched PMPress because I think there's a void in terms of talking about managing WordPress projects. There's a lot of talk in the WordPress world about usability, design, development, security, and other issues, but I don't think there's a lot of discussion around how to manage WordPress projects. So I launched PMPress to address the void and share the insights and knowledge I've gleaned by working on WordPress since its inception, on over 300 WordPress projects of all shapes and sizes for small business, large companies, and startups. In this episode, we're going to cover WordPress security. As a PM, you're expected to have some surface knowledge in all aspects of WordPress. Security, while not necessarily something you may be experienced in or your core skill set, at least you should have a grasp of it. So if something were to go wrong and a client's site was hacked, you'd have enough knowledge to react to the exploit and put your security plan in action. You're the project manager. It's your responsibility to do these things. So let's get started. This topic came to me pretty quickly recently when a client's site of mine, I should say a friend's site, maybe a new client, she was on Facebook and she said, "Oh my goodness, my site got hacked. What do I do? How do I solve it? Google has put up a warning page and now no one can get to my site without seeing this hack. And some of the controls of my site are compromised. They don't function. I can't delete things. What am I going to do?" So I stepped in and we spoke on Facebook Messenger about her exploit, and I was able to get some credentials to log in to her FTP client through FTP using Fetch and FTP client for the Mac, and I was able to scan her system and find some issues that I saw immediately that told me that the site was compromised and that there was something to be done. But before we get started talking about the hack and how I cleaned it up, another reason that this topic came up for me and I wanted to talk about security in this episode is that Security, which is a top security service for WordPress and other services, and I'll show you their website here. They are a very popular provider of WordPress security services. They also handle Joomla, Drupal, and some other popular CMSs. And they provide network level security to WP Engine, which is my preferred hosting partner. Security was recently acquired by GoDaddy, and I believe that they're working on introducing network level WordPress security for GoDaddy as well as for some of the other platforms that they're experienced in. But Security this week released their 2017 hacked website report, and they looked at over 39,000 sites, and they came up with some analysis of what the primary reason was for these hacks of these 39,000 sites that their plugins are loaded on and that they're able to monitor. And so it says here, the Hack Website Trend Report is a report produced by Security. It summarizes the latest trends by bad actors, identifying the latest tactics, techniques, and procedures, TTPs, seen by the remediation group in Security. The report will build on the data from the previous quarters, including updated data for 2017. Right, so I believe the report is based on a representative sample of total number of websites. The Security RG performed incident response service in the calendar year. A total of 34,371 infected websites were analyzed in the report. and that's that's the sample group that they took a look at. Based on the data, the three most commonly infected CMS platforms were WordPress, Joomla, and Magento. You can see that WordPress had 83% of all of the 34,000 hack sites that they tracked. And the reason for that is because WordPress is the most popular content management system in the world. It powers 30% of the entire internet and probably about 65% now of all installed content management systems. So of course it's going to be one of the most targeted platforms. Joomla is an older CMS that has lost market share, as well as Drupal, which had 9% a few years ago, but I believe has dropped to about 7% market share in installed CMSs. And Magento is in there. It's really an e-commerce CMS, and that CMS is really targeted. And one of the reasons they said it is because and targeting rows, it says here, marginally from 6% in 16 to 6.5% in 17, mainly because it's an e-commerce platform and hackers are trying to target credit card entry in the forms, right? Even though you might have your credit card processing through a Stripe or a PayPal or Authorize.net, hackers are still going to target an e-commerce CMS to try to infiltrate and scrape or copy some data entered into these forms, right? So this is a comparison chart, year over year of popularity of hacks and systems. So you see WordPress went from 74% to 83%. And you go on down the line. One of the key reasons why websites, especially WordPress websites, are getting hacked stems from vulnerabilities found in the extensible components of the CMS applications. So it's not necessarily WordPress itself that's getting hacked, WordPress core, which is pretty secure. It is extensions or plugins or modules that are getting hacked that haven't been updated. It's WordPress itself potentially when WordPress hasn't been updated, or it's true webmasters that are doing Linux system administration, or Apache or PHP, that aren't configuring their servers correctly, that aren't paying attention to security. So you've got a lot of webmasters that are responsible. Now, who can be a webmaster? A webmaster can be just about anyone, really. I'm a webmaster, right? Even though I don't technically have a lot of Linux skills or Apache or Nginx skills, I manage my websites on WP Engine's hosting platform. So you could say that I'm a webmaster. There could be a yoga instructor, specifically one I met with actually today in my coaching practice, who's a webmaster. She doesn't realize it, but she is, because her site is installed at One-on-One Internet, and she's got a self-hosted site that she has to manage, upgrade, and maintain. So she's considered a webmaster. So you can have webmasters that run the gamut from really experienced webmasters to small business owners, to yoga studio providers, to people like myself that are consultants. The term webmaster means just about anyone who manages a WordPress install. So the issue that comes into play is keeping up to date with WordPress enhancements, updates, and plugins, themes, your core WordPress, and making sure that WordPress is updated all the time. If you're not updating WordPress, then you're potentially going to be hacked. I'm not going to say it's a 100% guarantee that you will be, but more likely than not, if your plugins, your themes, WordPress core aren't updated, especially 2 or 3 releases down the road, and you're falling behind, you're really exposing yourself to potential exploits, right? And so the outdated CMS analysis really just talks about, that they found that in a preponderance, 39.3% of WordPress sites were hacked because something was outdated. So it's as simple as that. And as a project manager, you want to work with your team, whether you're solo and you're managing your own site, or whether you're working on a small team or a larger team. You want to raise these as issues. You want to make sure that your client understands, that your developers understand, that your marketing people understand, that everyone in the organization understands that WordPress as a platform, can be vulnerable if we don't take the steps to secure WordPress. Now some people would say, I talked to Joe over at Company X who works on Drupal, and he says he'll never install WordPress because it's not secure. Well, that's not true. WordPress as a platform, Drupal as a platform, those are secure platforms. We're talking about not updating, not keeping, your maintenance plan, copacetic in the way that you should, not updating plugins, not updating add-ons, not updating modules, and just letting things slack, right? Or working with themes. So, for example, I see a lot of people search for free themes on the internet, not go to WordPress.org and look for a theme, or not go to WordPress.com in the professional edition and look for a theme that they can install and configure, but go out on the open web and do a search. And they come up with these websites that say, oh, download this theme from me, from my website, and it's free and you can use it. And those themes that are downloaded contain malicious code. And if you're not careful, you're going to look for a free theme on one of these websites. You're going to download that theme because it's not vetted anywhere. Nobody knew about it. It's just something that you stumbled upon in a Google search, and you're going to install that theme, and you're going to immediately infect your website. Maybe even open a back door. So if you do clean it out, all of a sudden that hacker comes back again and again through that back door and reinstalls that malware, right? So as a WordPress project manager, you need to know those things. You need to make sure that when you're looking for a theme, that you're using a reputable theme shop. For example, I use the Make Theme by Theme Foundry. I know a reputable theme shop. They have themes installed on hundreds of thousands of websites. They have solid customer support. They have a paid upgrade program that they offer, and they keep their theme and their add-ons up to date all the time, and they're constantly releasing new code. So as a project manager, you want to work with theme developers, plugin developers who are well vetted, who are well known, and you don't necessarily want to adopt new jacks to your system, things that haven't been vetted, that don't have good reviews, good ratings. And when you go and look for themes or plugins in the WordPress.org repository, you're going to find that they have a rating system of stars, and there's critical feedback. And so you want to work with really high quality developers who are getting great feedback and great reviews and great star ratings, right? So let's go back to our report here from Security. So a CMS was considered out of date if it was not on the latest recommended security version, or if it had not patched the environment with available security updates, as in the case of Magento deployments at the time Security performed the incident response, right? And it's not just WordPress. It's not just the CMS. Linux needs to be updated. Apache needs to be updated. Nginx needs to be updated. These server technologies, is the company that you're working with. I do find from time to time that I'm working with clients who have some belief that they want to work with a host for a feel-good reason. So, for example, I have one client who wanted to work with a host who said that they were an all-green, eco-friendly host, and that they had sustainability plan in place, and that they had an eco-friendly power grid, just like Apple has just reported that all their renewable energy is powering out Apple's buildings all over the country and the world. But are those hosting companies really experienced when it comes to server security, server-side security? you don't know. So I tend to prefer to work with larger hosting companies like WP Engine, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So we'll just keep scrolling through here. We're seeing an inherent shift in the number of out-of-date, vulnerable versions of WordPress at the point of infection. So you've got 61% of hacked WordPress sites were recorded as outdated installations. However, that's since decreased to 39%. So in a year, there's probably been a call out there through the community to update, frequently update. And you see that the level of hacks has been mitigated to almost half of what they were only a year ago, because now webmasters are getting smart. But still, 39% out of 34,000 sites are a lot of sites. So there's still a lot of work to be done in education and training of webmasters for WordPress security. So let this webcast be a wake-up call to you as a project manager that WordPress security is that important, that we can't just run down the road and launch websites without a WordPress security plan in place. Okay, you've got what Sakori is saying is, we believe that this issue is stemming from three main areas: highly customized deployments, issues with backward compatibility, and lack of staff available to assist with the migration to newer CMS versions within their respective organizations. These areas tend to foster upgrading and patching issues for the organizations that leverage popular CMSs for their websites, also resulting in potential incompatibility issues and impacts to the website's availability, right? And they've really identified the webmaster, as the person who is most responsible. Now, if your website does get hacked, you're going to be blacklisted. I'm not going to say potentially, most likely you're going to be blacklisted. Whether you're blacklisted by Norton Antivirus or one of the other virus services, or whether Google blacklists you themselves. You can see, per their analysis, approximately 17% of all the websites that they had tracked and monitored were blacklisted, and that can really impact your site and reputation, because if your clients come to your site and it's hacked and you're blacklisted, and Google throws up a page in front of your site and says, your site's no longer secure and there's a malicious code or attack happening, then that customer is likely to not come back. So you can do your malware cleanup and then notify, if you have linked your site to Google Webmaster Tools or Bing, notify those services that you have fixed the issue and cleaned up the hack, and they'll remove that page, that front page that they may throw up in front of your site to warn users that your site is infected, right? So this highlights the importance of continuous monitoring of web properties beyond the traditional means like Google and Bing Webmaster Tools. It also indicates the blacklist monitoring is not enough to detect whether a site has been compromised. So, you've got this Sakori plugin, which I'll show you in a few minutes, that does, do your scans, and you can find out if your site's been hacked or if your site is continually clean, and it has log system that logs all actions and these kinds of things, right? So you can see that Norton SafeWeb and McAfee Site Advisor both accounted for 45% of the blacklisted websites in their reporting in 2017, and Google Safe Browsing captured only 12% of the blacklist, which is a decline from previous years, but it's still an important number. Several other blacklisting authorities flagged 19.8% of websites. So just the real message here is that your site will be blacklisted, and you have to do something to restore that site to the public and remove that interstitial page that's thrown up in front of your site. Malware families, the report talks about what the most popular hacks are. You can see the backdoor hack is most popular. There's the mailer, there's a spam SEO, there's the malware, these kinds of things. Malware may do something like the hack that we're going to talk about in a minute may take over the site and automate blog posts of spammy content. The mailer hack may take over the mailing function of the server and send spam comments to a series of email addresses that the hacker has harvested. Then you've got defacing the site, right? That's 5.5%, but it's still out there of, throwing up some kind of pages in front of the site to deface the site and, maybe hold the site for ransom or do those kinds of things. Then there's the phishing attacks, which is in the Magento area, trying to get people to fill out false forms with credit card details and these kinds of things, right? So over the course of the previous year, 71% of all compromises had a PHP backdoor hidden within the site. The backdoors allow an attacker to retain access to the environment long after they have successfully infected the website and performed their nefarious acts. This gives attackers the opportunity to bypass existing access controls. So, for example, when I was cleaning out the site, and I'll show you, there were some backdoors left there, and I had to find those backdoors and close them in order for the site to stop posting the spam comment that was being posted in the blog post area, right? So we've got annual trends for the top 3 malware families. You can read up on this, and you can see how many files were cleaned up per compromised sites, right? So there was an 82% increase in the total number of files from their last report. So hacks are getting more sophisticated. There are more files to clean out. It says, the report says this doesn't necessarily speak to more complex hacks. Maybe I was wrong in that statement. Apologize for that before reading this report fully, but does speak to an increase in the depth of files being affected with each hack. It also indicates that cleaning the symptom from one file is often not enough, right? You have to do a lot of work to go through a site and clean up a hack nowadays, right? And I'll show you what I mean by that shortly. They've analyzed what attackers modified once a compromise was successful and were able to attribute them to the following 3 files: the index file, the htaccess file, and this I haven't run into, but the functions.php file in WordPress. What is the functions.php file? So in a WordPress theme, functions.php allows you to add new theme controls and functions that you want to add to a theme, and it overrides the functions.php file that WordPress comes with, right? Well, not WordPress, I should say the theme has the functions.php file. And you can, in a child theme, let's say, in a child theme, have a functions.php file that overrides some of the things that are in the core functions.php file of the theme. So it's that functions.php file that is, where hackers are looking to exploit, as well as some other files, which I'll show you in one of the hacks that we're going to talk about. Our data analysis and research identify which malware signatures are more commonly associated with these modified files. 19% with the htaccess file. Now, in one of the hacks that I worked on in the last couple of weeks, htaccess was absolutely affected, as well as some other files. So you can read on this report. You can get it from the Security website, from their blog. It's a really great report, and it's something that you really want to share with your team, with your business owners, with your clients, and talk about why WordPress security is so important. Because what can happen is, and what my client found that happened to her, is that once she went to GoDaddy, Media Temple, I shouldn't say GoDaddy. GoDaddy was the other hack that I cleaned up, and I'll tell you about that as well. Once she went to Media Temple and my other client went to GoDaddy, they both were going to charge them a considerable sum, I think $250 to clean up a hack. So where they thought they had cheap hosting at $10 or $12 a month, all of a sudden they get hacked on that cheap hosting because they haven't upgraded and kept their WordPress site and their their WordPress site and their plugins and themes upgraded, and all of a sudden, their yearly cost went from $130 a year or $140 a year for hosting to $400 for the year because they had to clean up a hack. Maybe it's more. Maybe they went to $600 a year or $800 a year because it kept on happening over and over again, and they had to pay Media Temple or GoDaddy to fix that. So that's the issue. So let's show you an example of a hack here, and I will pull that up on my machine, and we'll go to our display, and we see here that what I'm going to show you is how to identify the hack, right? First, we had a hack in my client's site, and I got an email from GoDaddy on that hack that identified all the hack files that I had to clean out. But this time, I don't have the luxury of getting that email from GoDaddy that showed me all the nefarious files that they identified. They have the system in place that does that. I had to go through the core WordPress directory that I downloaded from WordPress.org and say, well, what files come with WordPress? And then this is a screenshot of that hack directory, and I see that WP Pass, WP RDF, WP Register, WP RSS, WP RSS2. Those are not core WordPress files. So that immediately told me there was an issue. And then beyond that, we also had Security told me that in my scanning system, and I'll show you the scan system here, excuse me, and my client site, right? All WordPress core files are correct. But this was read the other day. And when this was read, there was a report rendered right in the WordPress integrity that showed me a bunch of flag files, and it told me, oh, I have some issues. So I need to address those issues. And one of those files that was shown to me was the WP-load PHP file. Now you can see I have a load PHP file here, so I know that that's a core file, right? So I said, okay, well, how was that core file modified? So I opened that core file on the server with a text editor, BB Edit for the Mac, and I found that just before the PHP code was loaded, some really funky code that shouldn't have been there. And this is it here. And it showed me that this is where the hack is, right, in the load. So I had to delete that code, from that file, delete all these files, and then on top of that, I found that there was another set of files in WP admin. After I cleaned that out, let's just show you if I have the file here. Screenshot. Nope. I don't. I had the hack file here that showed what the hack looked like. Let me see if I can get that pretty quickly back in my files here, so you can see what that looked like. Oh, here it is. Okay, so see the screenshot? We have got another file that was loaded in this trisharomano.com/html, and then this directory, this funky directory, all of a sudden was there, and it's called virus die restore, and here's the hack. Here's the virus die hack, right? So that told me that there was some issue there, that there was a file in the system that was relegated to some kind of quarantine, right? And that file had some hack code in there. So you can see, you had to do all these different things to find the hack and clean it up, right? Excuse me. And that took some time. It took about 3 hours, first an hour and a half for the first roll through. And then when we saw that the site was posting again the next day, I knew that I had missed something and I had to go back and look through some additional folders. So Security has showed me in the dashboard panel that I still had some WordPress core files that were modified. And so I found a script folder in the wp-admin folder that had TimThumb, which is an old PHP file that is used for image optimization and cropping that had been exploited many years ago. And I guess hackers are still using that file to somehow infect machines. So not only was wp-load, all those files in the top level, an issue, there were files and folders in wp-admin that I had to clean out as well. And now it's safe to say that, the site is restored. I upgraded WordPress with new overwrites of all core WordPress files, cleaned out all the hack files, and now I'm getting the green light from Security. So, it was a lot of work. It was a good 3 hours worth of work. And you can see why a GoDaddy or a Media Temple would charge $250 to $300 for that. So let me talk about how I personally have mitigated against hacking attacks on my sites that I control and manage. And I'll pop up my browser here and I'll show you kind of my secret sauce of what it is that I do. First, I pass all my website traffic to any of my sites through Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a DNS services provider, which is like a traffic cop for the internet. And basically what DNS does is when someone requests a website, the DNS machine fields the request and then points to where that website lives on what server in the world that website lives on. And, it's really kind of, and then once it identifies the server, it sends the traffic to the server to retrieve the files, and everything operates on the Cloudflare network, right? They filter that traffic. And so not only does Cloudflare help have speed improvements to your site through some of the optimization tools, but they also blacklist nefarious traffic, bad traffic to come to your site. And they provide a layer of security through free SSL. So when you get a Cloudflare account and you activate it and you install the Cloudflare plugin on your WordPress site, then you're going to have free SSL through that service. So for example, on my own sites, I have Cloudflare running on all of them, and you can see up here, TonyZoe.com is secure because it's running on the Cloudflare network. And I'm not going to show you the plugin on each one. Well, let me show you on Tony Zioli. The Cloudflare plugin is under Settings, Cloudflare, and this is connected to Cloudflare, so it's reporting back. There's an API key. I can clear my Cloudflare cache here with this plugin. I can apply some optimization rules to Cloudflare's cPanel just by clicking Apply, and I can also do some interesting optimizations too, like automatic HTTP writes for images and things that were written when they were uploaded under HTTP, but now I have HTTPS. They're going to rewrite the image path and get rid of mixed content errors, right? So that's how you can get, step one of what I do to mitigate against hacks is really have all my sites pass through the Cloudflare network. Then I host all my sites on WP Engine. WP Engine is, I believe, the leading managed hosting platform for WordPress. In fact, WordPress themselves, Automatic has a venture capital arm that Matt Mullenweg founded, and that venture capital arm funded or invested in WP Engine a few years back. And most recently, WP Engine raised another $250 million from Silicon Valley venture capitalists. So it is a powerful platform company that provides an exceptional level of service. And they work directly with Security as a network security provider that secures at the network level for all of WP Engine service, hosting services, a security layer there. So in addition to having security malware scanning on your site with that plugin, you also have at WP Engine security at the network level. So those are the three, primary ways I secure my site. There are also other tips. For example, never having admin as a username, using strong passwords in WordPress. So, for example, when you sign up users nowadays and you want to invite someone to your WordPress site, now WordPress has introduced a strong password generator that is going to help you. So say I want to add new, that's going to help you that's under the network level, but let's go under the dashboard level of a site and see how that looks. Users, add new, and we've got, if you are sending, I guess it doesn't show it here, but if the person comes back and they want to update their username, so for example, or update their password, there should be some type of password tool here that will show you if I want to update my password. It generates a strong password, and I can save that strong password, right, for my site. But I'm going to cancel that because I'm not going to do that. So when I say admin user, I mean having a username that's admin. My username here is Tony Zioli, right? And I have a strong password on this site and all my other security protections. But admin was a username that was introduced when you used to install WordPress on your own self-hosted environment, and what you want to do is just add a new user, call that username something else, and then assign that user administrator rights, and then delete the admin user from the back end of your site, right? So those are some of the tips that I've got for you in terms of managing WordPress security on your own, right? I do work with WP Engine frequently. They have a 24-hour chat support and phone support. I can give them a call if I have any issues. And I recently became an affiliate partner. I'm already an affiliate partner of WP Engine, but I recently became affiliate partner of Security because I realize now how important WordPress website security is and how important it is to partner with one specific company like Security and promote that service to your clients and partners so you can get that malware scanning, so you can get that network level security at WP Engine, so you can get that those reporting tools in the Security plugin. Really important stuff. So hope you learned a lot in this session. I really appreciate you sticking around for over 38 minutes. I know it's a little long, but when you talk WordPress security, it's a really important topic that we all need to know about and spread the word about. So if you're going to a WordCamp coming up soon, or if you're speaking at a local meetup, or if you're just talking to your clients or partners, it's really important to get with them and talk to them about security. Matter of fact, I personally did that. I sent an email recently to a few of my clients. One is a small town, and small towns they don't have a sophisticated webmaster managing their WordPress instance. Yes, I have them on Cloudflare. Yes, I have them on Security, yes, I have them on WP Engine, but at the end of the day, I needed to notify my client, this is an important issue. Here are the things that can happen. Here is how I have a plan to mitigate those things that can happen. And here is what you need to know to take steps if that does happen. For example, WP Engine has 30 days of website one-click restore backups, right, in both staging and production. So if you were hacked 2 days ago, well, I can restore you to 3 days before. Hack is gone. Let's find the exploit. Let's update WordPress. Let's update all the plugins. Let's do an analysis of what happened in a scan and see, what we can figure out, right? Or if a hack does happen, hey, it's really the confidence. I'm experienced here. I understand hacks. I understand that they don't affect your, really your content, because your content is in your WP content folder and your database is still there, and you can still export your post if you want to and set up a whole nother website and just do it over again. But let's find out, is it in the functions PHP file? Is it in the WP load file? Is it in, some files and folders that have been installed? And so just having the confidence to know where to look is having the ability to solve the problem. And once you know how to solve the problem, then you can let your clients and partners know that you are experienced, that you have the tools and the knowledge to solve these major issues, especially on sites that are, very important. Not that all sites aren't important, but there's a level of importance in terms of a site that attracts 1 million users a day, as opposed to a site that only attracts 10 users a day. So I hope you learned a lot in this session. You can go to tonyzeoli.com, TonyZeoli.com, or digitalstrategyworks.com. You can follow me on Twitter at TonyZeoli, or you can follow me at DSWKS on Twitter for Digital Strategy Works. And you can find me on LinkedIn. Just do a search for Tony Zeoli and you'll find my LinkedIn profile. And, get in touch. Leave a message here on the YouTube channel right under this video, and I'll try to get back to you. Or if you have a hack and you're not sure what to do and you want to find a solutions provider, we can certainly help, or we can point you in a direction of one. One thing you could do, and let's go back to Security really quickly, is sign up for Security's security scanning service, and they really give you peace of mind. They have a basic plan. They'll get back to you, and their response team will get back to you in 12 hours for $199 a year, in 6 hours for $299, and in 4 hours for $499. And they'll provide different levels of support in their different plans, and they have 30-day guarantees and unlimited malware cleanup. The good thing about WP Engine is that working with them, did have one hack site that I moved over to WP Engine, and they helped clean up the hack before we launched the site on a WP Engine install, which was nice of them to do. So, even though WP Engine is far more expensive than your traditional shared hosting company, they're going to help you with some of these things, and you can see that expense at $35 a month, for your startup plan, right? So again, that is my take on WordPress security. Again, I hope you learned something in this episode. Leave me a note, a message, get in touch with me around the social web, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.